Hi, I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Grace.
And you're listening to our dad and your host of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vodyssey Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Moore, and this is going to be on our podcast and our new YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go look us up at realshawnmoore.com. Lots of amazing content and actually our origin story, taking you through, what led me to where I'm at here today. And today's episode is, I had to change plans today. My episode today was going to be all about separation season. We're going into what I call separation season. We're going to dive into that in next week's podcast, because today I want you to bear with me because I'm going to rant a little bit and I'm going to try to keep it light. But for me, this isn't a real light topic, and it's spurred because of conversations that we have, right? At Vodyssey here, those of you that are not familiar with Vodyssey is a company we have, and we help investors across the country build portfolios of successful, profitable vacation rental portfolios, purchasing these properties, understanding the acquisition phase, that management phase, setup, and marketing, and ultimately to make a lot of money with these properties and build our lifestyle and financial freedom. And so we do have a lot of conversations of people that are considering getting into this game. And I've been hearing a lot recently from some people that we talk to and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because they don't know what they're doing. But what really fires me up the reason I get upset is because so many people are selling themselves short right now. And they're allowing their lack of understanding of what they're getting into to set themselves up to not succeed as much as they could, right? The vacation rental game is a white hot market right now. It's uber popular. Vacation rentals are very mainstream at this point. Lots of demand for them. We've got this period of time where we can buy properties and we can really profit significantly off of these properties. But what most people don't really understand is that the majority of most markets, when I analyze most of these markets, the majority of the people are not making a lot of money. They're breaking even or maybe losing a little bit. They're supplementing a vacation home. And that's what a lot of people are doing in the game. And what I get really frustrated about is that people, they don't know what they don't know when they get into this. And this is a typical conversation that we have with people that get in. In fact, yesterday we had a conversation with a gentleman who was getting into the game and has significant resources, which a lot of people have. If you're in a position to buy a vacation rental, you're probably busy, you're probably professional, you've got the disposable income to go buy a second home, and you're very successful in your own right most of the time. And so sometimes we let our ego get in the way a little bit. And typical conversation is this gentleman just on the surface had about $2 million to invest. Made a lot of money in his company. He's like, I need to buy real estate. My CPA is telling me I need to buy real estate. We're really attracted to vacation rentals. We're trying to figure out what road to run down. Seems like a fun game to be in. So I think we'll do that. But after talking, we've got our course and our coaching program and everything else. People enjoying us, and it's a bit of an investment. It's not significant, but it's an investment to get started with us and have us help you along the way to really compress that time. And one of the thoughts that goes through people's heads is, well, I'm sure I'm going to learn something new. I'm sure there's things in there that can help me, but I'm not sure that I really need to invest in something to tell me how to, buy a property, throw it on Airbnb and make money. And in their head, that's what they think this game is about. And sometimes the simplicity of the game on the surface can be very misleading and can set you up for some big surprises. This game is not without challenges. It's not without roadblocks. And now it's not rocket science. And I always tell people it's not rocket science, very logic-based investing. But it doesn't have to be rocket science to still have to be detail-oriented, right? There's a lot of things that should understand on the finance side, the taxes side, the revenue side, analytics, regulations, all of these things that they're not rocket science, but they're things that can cause some major delays and some significant heartache and challenges if you don't know how to navigate some of those waters. And so a lot of people go into this game with the thought process of, hey, I've been really good at certain things in my life, and even I talk to a lot of real estate investors who've been in the real estate game for a long time, and You guys, I've had 20 years of experience in real estate. You know how you get 20 years of experience doing anything? You spend 20 years doing it full time. We've been in the real estate game, so we've got a fundamental understanding of real estate investing full time. I don't dabble in this. I haven't done this as a side hustle or a job. It's been my job for 20 plus years. We've been in this asset class now for over 6 years. We have active 700 plus members in our community right now that we're actively helping purchase properties. We've analyzed thousands of deals. And so there's a lot of knowledge that comes from spending that amount of time in this space and in this game. And so I don't take lightly the fact that, I understand when somebody says, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to learn. And I want to just like shake some people sometimes and just say, listen, what you're doing when you have that attitude is you're selling yourself short. Because what I have seen firsthand, what I see every single day in every one of these markets is I see what the average person does and I see what the above average people do in this game. And there's very few people operating in the above average because this is a multi-billion-dollar industry that is not dominated by institutional investors and sophisticated investors that with all kinds of marketing dollars and analytics and everything else behind them. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry that is mainly operated with mom and pops, just everyday people who are buying a property, putting it on Airbnb, VRBO, whatever it is, and supplementing a vacation home. And that's great. If you would have told me anytime saying, hey, Shawn, you can go buy a vacation home in the mountains and somebody else pays for it and you own it free and clear, is that a great investment? Hell yes, it is. It's awesome. I would take it all day, every day, until I started to realize the difference and the spread between what most of the people are doing and what it takes to operate at the top, and the amount of extra effort that I have to put there is not nearly as significant as the revenue that I can generate on the back end. So when I get fired up about it, it's not because I don't want people, or I'm mad that somebody doesn't want to work with us or they don't see the value in what we do and the value in that 20 years of experience that we have. Tony Robbins, you've heard me say this, he just says, you don't hire a coach to learn something new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. You hire a coach to compress time, right? He says he compresses decades into days. I always say I'm not nearly that talented, but we definitely can take 20 years of experience and all of those thousands and thousands and thousands of hours that we have analyzing properties, understanding marketing tests and spending money, figuring out what works and what doesn't work to operate at the top of the market, and we can share with people. And so is it rocket science? No. But most people don't know what they don't know. And that's not anybody's fault. It's just you haven't put the time in to understand what you don't know. If you get into any game, you're going to figure a lot of it out along the way. But how much time do any of us have, right? One of the things that the uber wealthy people and very successful people understand, they value time more than they value money. Almost across the board, you will hear that message when you hear interviews of billionaires and millionaires and people that are uber successful. They realize the value of time is more than anything else on this planet. And so what we're trying to do is compress time, right? And so what I want you to walk away from this little rant and this little episode is not anything other than just, I want you to set your ego aside. If you have in the back of your mind, why do I need to, learn anything else new? Why do I need to dive into the details of anything? Just let this ring in your ears to say the difference, because you don't know what the light at the end of the tunnel looks like. I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and you don't know how bright it can shine if you actually take the time to dive into it with your eyes wide open, setting your ego aside and not letting it get in the way of your success, right? Don't let just because you're super successful in something else and just because you're a real player in your own game doesn't mean you can't learn something new. And so don't go into something saying, well, yeah, I'm sure I can learn something, but I might not learn, everything that I need to know, right? If I'm making a multi-million-dollar investment, literally the investment in whether it's with us or going on your own, I think you're smarter to figure out somebody that has the amount of hours that we have in it and the amount of success stories that we have in it. We've literally taken average everyday people that make barely over six figures who are millionaires at this stage. And so we know how to do this. What I tell people a lot of times is the success is the easy part. There's a science to success. And so the roadmap is well traveled. The road down, the blueprint, the process, the framework is absolutely proven out. What is the hard part is getting to somebody on the other side of that to set their ego aside and be willing to say, okay, listen, I openly want to absorb some of this information. I'm willing to learn something new. I'm willing to say, okay, hey, I don't have 20 years in this game. And I'd love to surround myself with other people who do. You're listening to this podcast. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, right? You're listening to the podcast, watching the YouTube episode, and I'm preaching to the choir because you're spending the time to do some due diligence, to try to figure out if this is the game you want to play in and what you can do to operate at the top of the market. If you have not been to the top of these markets, I can tell you, like I said, I've seen the light and it shines a lot brighter than you may realize. And so I just want people, when they hear this, to just set their ego aside, allow themselves to say, okay, maybe there is something that I can learn. Maybe the pieces of this puzzle aren't rocket science. Maybe what Shawn's talking about, when he says it's not rocket science, it is simple. And maybe that simplicity on the surface is a drawback to me, because what it does is makes me believe that I can just go figure it out really easily. Doesn't mean that the pieces of the puzzle are, uber complicated, but if you don't know what pieces of the puzzle to put in and at what stages to put them in and what path to follow, it can lead to a lot of roads that you don't want to run down. And it can lead to a lot of mediocrity. If you're going to play the game to win. Play the game to be at the top. Winning isn't always easy. Right? Sometimes winning's hard. Sometimes winning means we have to put in a little more work. Sometimes we have to make an investment into some of that knowledge that we're going to gain. But it doesn't mean that it's not worth it. And I can tell you in this game, it's very worth it. How many people are out there? I mean, I'm one of the only trainers and coaches that I know that really preach that most people are better off having full service managers on their team than going out and self-managing. Because when I look at YouTube channels and I watch other trainers in this game, and most of them absolutely mean well and they're sharing the best of their knowledge, but most people aren't set up to manage these properties themselves. And so if you want to walk into it thinking that, that you're going to have these really fancy software tools that are going to make your life really easy and you can manage a property from your flip phone on the beach or your smartphone on the beach and it only takes a couple minutes a day or maybe an hour or two a week, I don't know very many people that's what they do. Most of these people who manage their properties, they do it well, it's their job. It's a side hustle. And so it doesn't sound great when you're running numbers to say, okay, let's take 30% of our gross revenue and give it to somebody else as our largest expense. But I'm telling you what I've seen in the years and years we've been doing this. We know how to self-manage properties. We know how to blend a hybrid approach to it. And if that's the fit for you, we're going to say that's the fit for you. Most people, it's not. I don't believe it is. And I've seen it over and over and over again because it looks really good on the surface. It looks really good when we fill out these calculators and you get a 55% cash on cash return and everything else. When I say I'm going after a 10% cash on cash return and I'm going to grow it to 25 or 30%, those are really good, solid investments. But that is a solid passive investment. That's having somebody else do all that management work for me. And so if I remove 30% of my expenses, guess what my returns look like now? Do you think I could sell more courses? Do you think I could sell more information and help more people if I took what sounds good, what you want to hear, instead of what you need to hear? And sometimes you need to hear that you need to set your ego aside and quit saying, hey, I don't know if I'm going to learn anything here. I don't know if this is quite worth it. And the reason I bring this up is we're having this conversation too many times. And really what it is the when you're having that conversation and you're the one saying that, you're selling yourself short because you don't believe that you have anything else to learn and you don't believe that somebody else is out there doing it better than you that you can learn from. And not that we're the end all be all by any stretch. We're the right fit for a lot of people. We've helped a lot of people. We're the wrong fit for a lot of people. But But what I don't believe is that somebody that just has this idea of jumping into a game that's a pretty serious game and you're investing pretty serious money, whether you're investing $2 million like the guy we just talked to, or whether you're investing $50 or $60, $70, $100,000 or more, it's a significant investment. And it's going to be a significant investment for most people when you jump into the game. And you want to set yourself up for success, because those home run returns that we talk about, they're there to be had. We don't chase them. We're not out searching for home runs. I always tell people we're looking for base hits, and we're going to teach you how to look for base hits that turn into home runs. But what we also want to do is on the front end, I want to tell you what I believe you should hear and what I believe you should think about as you dive into any game. And it's just a philosophy across the board. I just was coaching Wyatt's basketball team. My son's basketball team, they're 10 years old, and we played Lightning. And Lightning is a game where you line up and everybody shoots, and the guy behind you shoots, and if he makes it before you, you're out. And if you make it before him, you go to the end of the line, and everybody does that till there's one person left. We're playing Lightning, and two of my best players were up, and one of them missed, and his buddy's right behind him, and he started dribbling, he stalled until his buddy made the layup, and then he shot the ball. I paused the game. I pulled them both out. I said, you guys are both out. You're going to run on the sideline until we're done with the game. And everybody was shocked. And I'm like, and my point to them was, you're in here playing the game. If you're going to play the game, you play the game to win. You're spending the time here at practice. We're spending time trying to get better. Play the game to win. And so you may not like that attitude. You may not, but that's the attitude we're going to take. We're going to play this game. We're going to play the game to win. And we know how to win. And the frustrating part for me is there's not that many people playing to win. And so I want as many people as possible to play to win, because it makes the whole industry better. It makes everything we do better. It doesn't become a race to the bottom and everybody competing on price and everything else. I don't even worry about price in this game. If you can't, that point alone, if you don't understand how you could go into a market and charge double than your neighbor, and you don't understand the answer to that and why you could do that versus, everybody else where they're saying, okay, well, these other condos in my complex are $300 a night. I need to be close to that. If you don't know how you can go in and say, I'm going to charge $600 a night and my calendar is going to be just as full, then I would suggest you start to set that ego aside and start to learn more about some of those questions that you may not know that you even have. You don't even know the questions to ask to get the answers to. And so anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. That was my point I wanted to get across today. I wanted to keep it short, sweet, but I think it's a message that we need to be reminded of sometimes when we have that attitude of, if you're diving into something new, there is always somebody who's been down the road further than you. Seek those people out and welcome what knowledge they're willing to share. Sometimes that knowledge comes at a cost. Sometimes it doesn't. The podcast that you're on listening to right now, you're taking the time. You're investing your most valuable asset, which is time. And I appreciate that. And so for all of you listening, for all of you watching on YouTube, thank you for spending the time with me. It means a lot. If you got anything out of this, one of the things that helps us the most is if you leave a review and you share this with somebody that you think it might be helpful for. And we will continue to come to you with new information, more trainings, more information. I'm excited about some of the interviews we have lined up. I've just hired a new acquisitions manager because we're looking at so many deals, sharing some of those things that we're seeing on the front end, in these markets in real time, because we have so many people in these markets, and I've got some amazing tax people coming on. We're going to talk about some of the things toward the end of the year that we can be doing to maximize these assets. So anyways, guys, thank you for being the biggest and best part of what we do and listening and spending that time with me. And we'll plan on seeing you guys same time, same place next week. Talk to you soon. Cheers.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website? Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodyssey.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.